Hello, travelers and subscribers. Are you excited? Are you excited? Because I am. This is my first solo commentary. It's going to be over Super Metroid, Justin Bailey edition. I'm just playing Justin Bailey's hack for variety's sake. I know there's a lot of Super Metroid Let's Plays out there on YouTube, so I figured, what the heck? And to start things off, there's a color palette change right on the start screen. It's not too different, but the real difference starts as soon as you get to the file select screen. And I was still working on my control scheme here, which is why I accidentally backed out of there for whatever reason. Just gotta clear out one of these files. I clear out two of them just because, I don't know, I didn't really feel like leaving one of them open, or having just one open. But yeah, this is not the first time I've played this game, but an interesting fact about it is that I actually had never beaten Super Metroid for a long time, even though there were guides and strategies out there, and I'm sure I could have gotten somebody else to help me finish it, but never finished it until probably around, I think, 2005? I'd never beaten this game until then. But after I did beat it, I kept playing it over and over and over, like many people did, because one of this game's biggest calls to fame is speedrunning. And you're going to notice too on these story segment screens that goes by kind of slowly. And that's because I was really distracted while I was filming this. I'm sorry. I'll try to, I might edit it out, I don't know, but it gives me some time to talk and kind of fluff out the first video. And if this is the first time you've watched any of Fireproof Productions videos, I am Mofo Mike, just in case, M-O-F-O Mike. And I am totally not ripping off of AVGN's friend Mike Matei, not at all. Don't look at me like that. I'm not lying. True story. So, yeah, she fought the Metroids on their homeworld, SR-388. If you're new to the Metroid storyline, this is basically the gist of it. There was a young girl named Samus Aran. She lived on a farming world, essentially. Or actually, excuse me, got that wrong. She lived on a vessel that was the headquarters for all of the, it's basically like the UN's meeting room in the US. It's basically a place where all of the galactic nations met and discussed what they wanted to do for the better of the galaxy. And this vessel ran on a special type of crystal or mineral or ore, whatever you want to call it, that had to be mined to power the ship. And while this ship was off mining somewhere, a space pirate squad, I guess you could call it, armada, might be a better term, attacked. And during that attack, Samus's parents are killed by Ridley. If you don't know who Ridley is, you'll get to meet him in this playthrough at some point. But basically, well, actually no, you'll get to meet him as soon as we get to the space colony. He's a giant purple dinosaur, not the friendly kind at all. And yeah, Ridley kills her parents, or one of her parents at first, and she's about to get killed when her mother sacrifices herself to save Samus. And in the aftermath of all of this, after the space pirates have left, two Chozos come and attempt to, save her, and they take her back to their home planet. And from there, they adapt her to their atmosphere and train her to fight for the better of the galaxy. But basically, they just train her to be an all-around badass, if you will excuse the crude term. But that's basically that. And they also developed this life form called Metroids. And Metroids are these jellyfish-like creatures that feed on the life force of aliens and other living things. And later on in Fusion, they explained that they also fed off X-parasites that lived on SR-388. Anyway, we're jumping right in here. Ceres space station is under attack. Sent out a distress signal. Samus comes to the rescue. So let's see what's causing all the problems here. Get right down to business. Take care of everything. And here is what the Justin Bailey hack does. The biggest thing that it does. It puts Samus in the Justin Bailey outfit from the NES. If you know about the NES version of Metroid, there's a password called Justin Bailey. And it just lets you play through with Samus with all of her abilities, power-ups, missile tanks, energy tanks, or 5 energy tanks at least, I think. And she's also in a bikini. So that's all this hack does. It doesn't change the difficulty at all. It doesn't change any of the item placement or anything. But I thought it'd be nice for a little variety to have something that was a little different than the usual to look at least. And this is Ridley. Like I was saying, giant purple dinosaur, mean nasty guy, trying to steal a baby Metroid that we saved. Not a very friendly dinosaur at all. Nothing like Barney. And I'm just trying to get hit and killed as quick as I can here, because this fight, if you're trying to defeat him, which you can do, but it doesn't really change anything. All he does is he just he drops the Metroid and picks it right back up. So I just didn't want to waste any time. I just went ahead and got killed. And people might want to know what I think about Metroid Other M. And overall, I like playing the game. The combat is more involved than most Metroid games, at least once you get used to using the dodging and finding out how to kill every enemy with their quickest kill. It becomes pretty rewarding and fun, to be honest, but the story was really badly executed. They could have done a lot better. Now, granted, it was the Metroid team's first 3D-based Metroid game, so I kind of cut them a little slack with it, because Team Ninja helped them with the programming of the 3D bits, and I don't know whose decision it really was in the end to give Samus a voice actress, but they chose a lot of new voice actors for parts in the game when they probably should have chosen much more reputable voice actors for the characters, especially since it was the first one that was going to have any voice acting of any kind. But yeah, I mean, overall, my opinion of the game isn't that bad, but the dialogue is really, really corny and cheesy and just awful. And I don't even really want to get started talking about the scene with Samus and Ridley. I mean, people that know the story of Samus might be a little more understanding, but even then, it's kind of hard to accept that she would act that way this late in the continuity. Because Metroid Other M takes place immediately after this game, and by this point in the series, she had fought Ridley multiple times. So I'm sure she would have been used to him, even if she had at some point had post-traumatic stress disorder triggered by seeing him. That wouldn't have happened that far into the future, I wouldn't think. Especially when they have so many ways of treating sicknesses and mental disorders in this point in like human technology. I'm sure they could have found some way to help her anyway. But yeah, overall, I like Metroid Other M. It's a fun game to play as far as the gameplay goes. There are some bits that are slow and tedious, like the find a pixel parts of the game, but overall, yeah, I like it. And here we're getting the first power-up of the entire game, the Marumari Morph Ball, if you prefer. It doesn't really matter to me. I always call it the Morph Ball. There it calls it the Morphing Ball, but yeah. Oh yeah, I recently saw Thor 2, and I know there's a lot of mixed opinions about several things in that movie, especially about Heimdall. But I don't know. I like it overall. I'm a comic book fan. I like Western comics. I like Japanese comics, manga, if you prefer. And I also like characters that are pretty straightforward. I like characters that are deep when, occasionally, but most of the time I prefer characters that are a little more straightforward, so... Oh, and I also really like mythologies of different cultures from the past, so it was kind of like a two-in-one movie for me, you know. I got a little bit of a mythology type of movie, and I got a little bit of a comic book movie out of it with Thor. And the casting was overall really good, I thought. None of the actors were too out of place, although Natalie Portman could have been utilized better, as a lot of people have said. I share the same feeling on that part. Natalie Portman was really underutilized. And as far as Heimdall's skin color is concerned, I don't really care that much. It didn't take away from it, and the actor did such a good job portraying the character personality-wise anyway, that it almost made no difference to me at all, as it should. You know, when you decide parts in a movie, it shouldn't necessarily be based on skin color unless that's the whole point of the movie, like it's some kind of a racial movie, you know, something to talk about racial problems in the past or present. Unless it's that kind of a movie, it shouldn't really matter much at all, you know, like Hancock being a superhero, you know. It was a part that wasn't necessarily written, as far as I'm aware. It wasn't necessarily written with a black main character being in mind at the time. It was probably something they decided later, and it still worked because the character was well fleshed out and thought of. So as far as Heimdall being black, it's not a big deal to me. Same thing with one of the Warriors 3 being Asian. Didn't really bother me. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, if it was a direct Norse mythological film, I would probably be a lot more concerned about it, but it's still not that big a deal. And we're making our way up to get bombs for the rest of the game now. And I know that I probably have been making a lot of flubs on some of my jumps, especially some of my wall jumps later. It's going to look like I'm flubbing really bad. But for whatever reason, the controller I was using was an Xbox 360 controller, a generic Xbox 360 controller, all I could find. And the D-pad doesn't work very well for wall jumping in this game. So I just had to do what I could. And here we're going to go and fight the Torizo statue, is what he's called. It's just a living remnant of the Chozo that were once here, because Planet Zebes is what it's called, wasn't always inhabited by the space pirates. It was actually inhabited by the Chozo before the space pirates came, and the Chozo were betrayed by Mother Brain. This is where Samus lived and was trained as well. So that's another bit of Metroid lore for you, is that Zebes is actually one of the former homeworlds of the Chozo, until Mother Brain betrayed them. And he went down in, what, like 7 seconds? Yeah, if you lose to that guy, I feel really sorry for you, because you just shouldn't lose to him. It's like, I can't even find a comparison. You shouldn't lose. It's too easy. And let's see, what else did I see lately? Oh yeah, I rewatched Indiana Jones lately. And, to tell you the truth, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull specifically. A lot of people have problems with that movie, but I mean, if you can get past the refrigerator part, as far as like suspension of disbelief, if you can get past the refrigerator, you shouldn't really have a problem with the rest of the movie. I mean, it really just... And on top of that, I don't really know what other really big, like, mythological type of weaponry or accessories or items Indiana Jones could have gone for that would have made for a really good Indiana Jones movie. I mean, he already recovered the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail. I mean, the Holy Grail, you know, the item that anyone who was looking for something would ever look for, the quest King Arthur himself went on, and Fable and everything. I mean, I don't think there was much else they could have done that would have been as entertaining, to be honest. I mean, maybe the Sword of Randall, maybe, I don't know. It's hard for me to think of things that could have been better. And so, coupled with that, I don't really have a problem with Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But looking at the time, we're getting close to the end here, so I'm going to go ahead and say my goodbyes, and we'll see you next part. Thanks.